grabbing the camera so I can set up and record for us all and have a memory of this for my family and for you. And if you don't know it, you're here with Lionel Thomas. Let's head inside. I think I look okay. Here's the KCAA studio. We're gonna off-road it and take this little shortcut up here. Let's head inside. How are you today?
Doing great. How you doing? Good to see you. Glad you could make it. Yeah.
You want me to record the whole thing? Just
again?
You want me to non-stop record on this one?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so when we start.
You might have stopped it.
Oh,
Is it recording?
still recording.
Okay.
Yeah. Rec, right?
Good. Hello, hello. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing.
Is it on? Did he?
I can't hear myself.
Is it on?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me in there? Are you supposed to?
Oh, can you hear? Is it on?
Volume's on.
It's the same crew as before. That's kind of interesting.
Oh yeah, it's all the same.
Testing,
You know who
1, 2,
here?
3. Testing 1, 2, 3. I don't think you can hear us. We're good?
Did you hear? You still hear from the headphones?
No.
Can you hear the show at least?
Huh?
Can you hear the show?
Say it again?
Can you hear the show?
Yeah.
Okay, then you're good.
You good?
Oh.
Okay. I'm a rookie.
Okay.
Because I know that there's a lot, because YouTube and right? And you also, what's that other thing? Debt elimination program. What is that? Is that what it's called? It's called the Money Max Account Program. I don't want to say that. Oh, yeah. We just switched over to this marketing thing. Have access to this.
It went okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, open house went okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's it.
Uh,
Too much.
Welcome back to the International Wealth Builders Radio Show with your host, Dr. Sharon Barnes. And I hope you stay tuned for the remainder of the hour. During the first two segments, I talked about my passion, my start, my company, ADU Advantage, and how we help homeowners and investors build accessory dwelling units by educating them, providing resource, project management, helping them put their team together, and that we're real passionate about helping build more accessory dwelling units here in the Inland Empire. I also mentioned about the Revitalize program that allows you money to fix up your property if you're interested in selling it with no fees, no interest, no credit checks. So you can get the maximum for your property, and that it also can be a bridge loan for investors. And now I am excited to welcome to my show today Mr. Lionel Hicks, who is an appraiser, also a real estate professional. So we get a 2-for-1 here.
Yes.
And talking about accessory dwelling units, like I said, they're here to stay. And we are talking about the evolution of the law and people's interest in accessory dwelling units getting more and more popular. And we need to embrace them because we're talking about garage conversions, ground up, modular. But we know that on the horizon, people are doing 3D printing. They're doing total ecosystem, biodegradable, dwelling units because of our energy problems. Just last night, someone was talking about trying to use containers and everything. Now, those are getting far and far away from what we're used to, and so it takes a little bit more time to get those on board. But we do need to take advantage of this wave of accessory dwelling units.
I agree.
And as I was mentioning earlier, that we would also be talking about selling, the parents' property sometime when the children are building accessory dwelling units and so forth. So just want to definitely get your insight on steps we can take to maximize our property value and some of the things you're seeing in the accessory dwelling unit industry and problems. So I'm looking forward to having a great conversation with you. Welcome again, Lionel Thomas, appraiser, real estate professional. Thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. I've seen so many different scenarios that I'm trying to pick one and choose a path to explain. But in the scenario, because from what you just said, like if you have a family member who is aging in place, and maybe they need additional income, adding ADU for them and maybe renting out the single family home is a beautiful, brilliant idea.
Exactly.
The equity is there. They're going to enjoy a newly constructed home that fits their lifestyle because they don't need all the space. They don't need all the function of a whole home anymore.
Exactly.
And then they can benefit from the rental income of that same property without, paying additional taxes for another property or another piece of land or whatever the case can be.
Yeah. So I had one client, prospect, he was out in like Cathedral City, and they were building an ADU in their backyard for their mother.
Yep.
But the mother had a property for sale in LA.
Yep.
But the mother's on a fixed income, so she can't really fix up that property. But getting that property sold, and then they were worried about the valuation of the ADU on their property.
Okay. Well, let's talk. So in Indio or out there in Riverside County, there's more creatives there.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So architecturally, I think it's a little more open.
Okay.
So adding an ADU there is obviously a great thing. Also, there's benefits to like Airbnb properties, where people want to use them as rentals. But speaking specifically, if you are going to add ADU, I would suggest to add a detached ADU. Right, maybe one that has its own gas meter, electrical meter. Okay. And the reason why I suggest that is because then it's easy for an appraiser or easy for someone who's going to evaluate the property to say this is 2 buildings with 2 individual living areas, and they'll value it that way.
Okay.
Sometimes when the ADU is attached to the home with only 1 meter, it's a little tricky on how it's valued, whether it's valued as like an addition.
Okay.
Right, it's just like this is maybe an additional room, an additional bathroom, because it doesn't have its own like full living.
Oh, okay. So even though, so I had the client that had like a 5-bedroom house.
Okay.
And it had like the living room and the great room, and the great room was on the other side of the kitchen. So they wanted to put the wall up and put a kitchen right behind the existing kitchen,
Good idea.
and then use the master bedroom as a living quarter. Already had the bathroom in there, but only thing they had to do was add the kitchen and add a separate door for a person to come down and come in. You're saying even though it would have all the features of an accessory dwelling unit, the fact that it was attached to the footprint of the house is going to give them less value?
Well, what you just described is kind of like a conversion.
Okay.
Right? That's what I would call that. It's a conversion of existing
Living
area or living space. And in that scenario, when I get the order, let's say I'm working for whatever bank or credit union, I get the order and I type in the address, the tax reporter is likely going to reflect what's been there for the last 50 years.
Exactly.
So maybe not until I get there I'm going to see that they have split the home in a way that is acceptable or usable for them, which is good. But I guess the core issue is you want to be conforming.
Okay.
And ADUs themselves are burgeoning, so they're kind of non-conforming. And if you, is that a bad way to say? Is that a bad word or what?
Well, no, it's not a bad word. It's just kind of new to me. Okay, I'm trying to get this. Okay,
I'm saying conforming because
are we talking about non-conforming use or non-conforming structurally?
Good question.
That's maybe where I'm getting, because non-conforming when it comes to lending or whatever, in my mind got one thing.
Yeah,
when you were saying it, kind of had another.
I'm thinking about it from the lending perspective.
Okay.
Because as I choose comparables, if that same home we're talking about, it was 5 bedrooms.
Right.
It's almost the same comparable is going to be chosen for it as before whatever it was then now. But the kicker now is it has a kitchen in there.
Right.
So now I have to say, well, does the zoning accept this kitchen? Is the kitchen done? Is it safe?
Right.
Does it have smoke detectors? And then the question is going to say, does it have its own utilities?
Right.
So then I'm going to get to a scenario where I'm looking at comparables, and I have to decide, do I compare it to these comparables that have multiple utility meters, or only one utility meters? Or am I choosing the same comparables I chose before when it was still a 5-bedroom?
Right.
So in that scenario, because it's a conversion of the interior square footage, it's a little tricky. It's not a bad idea.
Right.
I applaud anyone who does that because I want them to have the functional that it's their home.
Right, exactly.
But you want to create a situation that's easy, not easy, but something that the value is there, no questions asked.
Exactly. And having this discussion, it kind of brings up, so, and I don't know exactly like how to say it, but
anyway.
it's like eyeballing it. It's like when I see that 5-bedroom home, okay, that now has a separate entrance, so I can knock on the front door and meet one family, and I can go down the side, knock on another door, and meet another family, and they're renting it out. Then I'm thinking it's like a duplex. Okay?
It is a duplex, attached duplex, right?
But it's not still getting the value of a duplex. Eyeballing, it looks like a duplex to me, and that's how I would describe it to someone, But technically, and from a lending standpoint, it might not be a duplex.
What is the zoning?
Well, I mean, we got the ADUs though. If it's an R1, we can still put an ADU there.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, but that doesn't necessarily make it equal to a duplex.
Yeah, so typically, or let's say before 2020, a duplex was it had a special zoning.
Okay.
It was either like a multifamily zoning type.
Right.
And all these rules have changed. So I think that I would say the appraisal industry is still, we are not dealing with the change, but there's been big changes, and I don't know how it was consulted or considered. But I'm happy that it's happening. I'm happy that we have opportunities as homeowners and as Californians to do things that we obviously have wanted to do for many years.
Yes.
And I would say ultimately that yes, that 5-bedroom is now going to be maybe a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom duplex.
Right.
Now, where are we going to go and find those comparables?
Exactly.
Think about it from that perspective.
Right. Exactly.
And if that actually, does that add value, or does it?
Right.
Because while I agree that they're going to get the better function, it may be an issue for them on the back end.
Right.
That's why I say add a second unit.
Yeah. Adding a second unit is a great idea, no matter how you do it.
Yes.
But we need a good team and resources to get it done because everything's changing. But we're going to take a short break right now, and we'll come back with Lionel Thomas, and we will continue to talk about accessory dwelling units and real estate.
Thank you.
That was good. But I said that was good. But yeah, it's just like it's so crazy. And then the thing on the modular. Have you done a lot on the modular?
Manufactured homes?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a special thing too.
Okay, yeah,
It's a special form.
Yeah.
And I've even done them. I mean, I have a lot of. I even done a manufactured home that was a single family with the manufactured as ADU. Believe it or not.
Yeah. So this one company, U.S. Builders.
I've heard of them.
I went by and they
He's
did.
wanting me to switch out this image.
They did a
With my
apartment
2 minute
complex.
break,
I think they got 84 units on the corner of the Lagonia and Orange and Redlands.
Yeah.
And I drove by. I mean, I couldn't even tell it, But they did modular. Yeah, they did they did the modular. But then they came in and had ground up garages and everything. But it's like with the modular people, you just can't eyeball it. When you get the part models and everything. And some people are like, "Well, I can buy a modular for $80,000." It's like that might be for a park, but that ain't for your backyard.
Yeah, exactly right. In a neighborhood where all the connections are perfectly there, you have to run new plumbing.
I know.
Do the legal costs. But I'm all for it. I don't know if what I said came off negatively, but
No. It came out positive. It just like I said, just kind of reinforced that we need a team and we need
proper
to know.
plan.
We need to know things so last.
Even I would say it's location specific.
Yeah.
Because every city is going to allow ADUs to be done in a different way.
A little bit different. Yep, and it was like last night, this guy, and I asked the guy who went with me, I was asking, did I come off negative? Because he said that he was at a meeting and the mayor of Riverside was saying that they finally, I guess, approved these ADU things. And they said, so you don't need a contract? And I said, that's not, I said, now it's great that you have pre-approved plans.
Yeah,
and
that is
that might speed up your permit, and that might minimize some of your structural,
And the cost?
but what you put on your land, you still need a contractor, but you still got elevations,
Yes.
this, that, and the
You
other.
build with quality.
Yeah. It's not like buying a car and you can just drive it home, put it in your.
So what is the membership fee gonna be? Oh.
Welcome back to the International Radio Show, Wealthfield Radio Show with your host, Dr. Sharon Barnes. I'm here with Lionel Thomas. We're talking about ADUs, the valuation steps you can take to improve your property value. And so when Lionel, we were talking in the last segment, and we were talking about, conversion of a house within the footprint.
Yes.
We didn't even mention, attaching, because that same location, they not only wanted to split the home with the master bedroom and adding the kitchen, but also converting the garage would be a junior ADU.
Yep.
So really trying to turn it into a triplex, okay? So the laws allow for certain things, but like you say, they're site specific.
Yes, exactly. City specific,
Yeah,
site specific.
yeah,
Yes.
and that's why it is so important to put together a team and to get the right resources and to get local resources as local as possible. We know contractors and people, they have to drive, and we got projects all over, but if you can put together a team so when you have questions, you can get them answered, and a person like myself with a consultant, you can call me and ask me the same question maybe 4 times or 5 times, but not bother your architect and your contractor, because you want their time to be spent getting the job done and moving the permits down the pipeline and getting the structure up on your property. And so, again, with the laws and with accessory dwelling units, a lot of time people just want to kind of eyeball things, and I get calls, I'm talking to people and they're talking about manufactured, and I think manufactured homes are fantastic.
Yes.
But you can't eyeball the manufactured home and know exactly what you're getting, because the park model that is cheaper and just to be put into a mobile home, a manufactured park, is different than the one you can put in your backyard. And then that one can be different because if you go, I think it's MHP, or you go to a certain level, it's built to the same level as the standard stick build. It's just partially done in the factory. But if I walk through 3 identical homes, I mean, structurally, my eyes see the same thing.
Yes.
But my pocketbook won't, and the value of my property won't.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about what you're seeing and maybe some precautions we can take when we're looking towards manufactured homes as ADU?
All right. So just speaking from experience, from my recent memory, I've done one in Miraloma that was like a home built in, let's say, 1940 on maybe half an acre of land.
Okay.
And they had a family settlement, and they moved a manufactured home from one site to this site in Rupa Valley.
Okay.
And obviously it's unique. So as an appraiser, picture this, okay? We already described that scenario where the single family is now a duplex, and we need to find a duplex with 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, and 1. Now we're looking at a single family, and we're looking for a comparable that has a manufactured home or prefab home in the backyard. And it gets kind of tricky. We, as an appraiser, you have to prove your adjustments. You have to prove why you do things. You can't just make it up.
Right.
So I find myself searching 5 to 10 miles or going years back trying to locate just one house with that kind of setup.
And then have to make the adjustments as to the
try to
quality and all
justify
that.
the decision.
Wow. And so we talked about moving because I had a call with someone that they said they could get a manufactured home, put it in their backyard and everything. But if it's not on the solid foundation, it's not real estate. Number 1.
It's movable. Yeah.
Number 2, I've been told and ran into issues that they say once a manufactured home, say if it's in a park or on a lot, if it's moved to another location, it's not insurable. It's like all kind of issues that come up with that.
I didn't like the assignment. It was for a family.
Okay.
But I did it, and like I said, a lot of the appraisals I can just do. I can just dance do it.
Okay.
Here you go, customer, you know?
Right.
But sometimes you get properties that are so unique that I'm uncomfortable with my decision making because I already know that there's not a lot of, this is a unique, one-of-a-kind property. Like basically appraising a church would be another example.
Right.
Because all churches are unique.
Yeah.
So what you're describing right now is kind of unique, but over time, and as more people make this step, it will become the norm, and there will be comparables. But there needs to be, I guess, more infrastructure to get more done quickly, I suppose.
Yeah. And I think, and one of the things that I really fell in love with at first, and I've kind of, and not really backed off, but I've seen some of the issues, is that I thought that with a standard home and getting a modular, the modulars are not the old trailer park homes we're looking at. They're not your grandparents, trailer home, right?
They're efficient.
And they're efficient, and they're brand new, and the modular is built, to the same standard as ground up. It is in a factory, kind of like a car assembly line, right?
It's the future.
And everything. And so to get them there, and they're still a little bit cheaper, and to work with a company like U.S. Modular that I'm associated with, to get it from beginning to end and still save, some money was a great thing. But I had some insurance people that says that you're mixing construction type, ground up and modular, that when we come to insuring the property, they had issue. And then again, with some appraisers not being, trained, they'll look at that modular and try to assess it like it's a trailer park modular versus, California standard construction. Yeah. And so, any tips on that, or other than picking the right modular company, any tips on that?
Well, this is what appraisers, we have different forms.
Okay.
So when you're doing a manufactured modular or mobile home is kind of there's a 3 M's.
Yeah.
You're going to use what's called a 104C. It has its own specific form and valuation process.
Okay.
When you're doing a single family, you just use a regular 1004 or what's called a URA, or Uniform Residential Appraisal Report. So just as an appraiser, now we're taking 2 different forms or 2 different property types and trying to join it into one. So if you can imagine, I'm already scratching my head right when you call me and tell me address, I look it up and I see it. So like I said earlier, you need to search wide and go back in time to try to find 1, 2, or 3 in order to justify your decisions. But it's a challenging one.
Yeah, and I think that this is common for any new industry, anything that's coming out, and people shouldn't be discouraged. No. Again, this is the niche that I'm carving out as a consultant with ADU Advantage, just to be there, because it's so many moving pieces. A lot of times, homeowners haven't built anything before. Number one, Number two is that things change from day to day, and talking to the city, we can go to the city and talk to the same person about the same project and get a different response based on the words we use. Okay? Right. And so using all that, we're here to let you know that there's resources, and that every industry that's involved in real estate, like the appraiser, like the contractor, consultants like myself, we're all trying to work together to make this possible and just to be a resource and so forth.
If I had to speak on it for a second, I would say find like a vacant site and just build 2 modulars there.
Exactly.
Right? And that would be at least conforming on that form. But to be honest with you, the forms are all supposed to be changing pretty soon here. So, and the appraisal industry is changing too as we speak. And, we appraisers want to do good work. We want to make sure that our appraisals are quality and dependable. And when there's new types and new zoning rules and things are rolling on and changing, we're like kind of the last horse in the cart, so to speak, to get our new rules of engagement, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, and I understand you talk about like forms changing. On the multiple listing service now for realtors, there's a section where they ask this whole series of questions about an accessory dwelling unit, and people are relying on that information, but we still need a lot of education because just because we call it a casita or a granny flat or, some other, in-law quarters does not mean it's not an ADU.
Exactly.
And it doesn't mean it is an ADU.
Exactly.
So you have to understand, the components and record the information as well as possible, and to reach out to people who understand accessory dwelling units, because it's not simple and it's a moving target right now.
Yes. Even so, to kind of go back to the comparable conversation, depending on how someone enters that listing, that's how I'm going to locate it. So if you enter it as a multifamily property or a residential income, and I'm looking for comps in residential, it's not going to be found.
Exactly.
Right? So we have to really, and I guess the MLS systems and the developers have to really look at that and look at what is the best process, and then educate all the users and how it's set up so that we can all use it
uniformly.
Yeah, uniformly.
Yeah, and I understand that, and like I said, I'm trying to help be that one of those educational hubs to help train people, and and I know it's the attorney in me, but words matter, okay? The law is for accessory dwelling units, okay? And they have a definition. Casitas, yes, that's what they were called when they may have been built, but then they've been, rehab, garages. I mean, and back, like you said, back in the day, those garage conversions, like there's so many back houses in LA, but you weren't allowed to have a full kitchen, only a little hot plate. You couldn't have a full bathroom. And so we're not talking about those. We're talking about sustainable living spaces. And if you do have some of those old illegal, I will just say this real quick, if you do have those conversions or structures that wasn't, permitted fully or at all, and you kind of know that, or you can't prove this permitted, that the accessory dwelling unit laws now are allowing on amnesty for those violations and allowing people to bring them up to code.
Nice.
Now, it does cost, but the cost of bringing an illegal structure up to code is a lot less than if you have a fire in that structure and somebody gets hurt.
Yes.
Okay? Because you're not supposed to have people living in illegal structures, and if there's a fire or an emergency and they find out that you are renting that or having people live long term in that, the insurance company can wipe you out.
Can I speak on that?
So yes, real quick, because we have a couple minutes. Okay.
If you do have a casita that's was done in the 80s, 90s, or 2000s or 2010s, and it has no heat source, it's not really a living area.
Exactly.
If it doesn't have smoke detectors, it's not safe to occupy.
Exactly.
And this is what she's referring to when you want to bring it up to the modern standard. At least safe, sound, and sanitary would be the minimum.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah, so we definitely need to know that. And we're here to help you, and so please reach out to us. Lionel, can you tell them how they can reach you and contact you?
Yes, you can call me directly on my cell phone. My cell phone number is 909-510-3353. My website is newmanthomas.com, NEWMANTHOMAS.com, and you can click and schedule an appointment with me right away.
Thank you so much for listening in. I'm Dr. Sharon Barnes, and you can reach me, connect with me on social media at ADU Advantage on LinkedIn and YouTube. Dr. Sharon Barnes, Real Estate and ADUs on Facebook. And so please reach out. We want to be the resource to help you make your ADU dreams a reality, put together the right team, direct you to the proper sources, help you with financing. And if you're in the industry and you're looking to serve more people and make more connections and get more projects in the Inland Empire, please connect to me, because I am building a unit, networking unit to really serve our community. So have a great day, and I will see you next month. Be safe.
Thank you.
It goes by so fast.
It's unbelievable.
Oh, God.
It's like you're so nervous coming here and then you get here.
I know. That's kind of how it was.
You just do it.
And sorry for mentioning your name.
It's okay.
I have a contractor, Lionel Hicks. I'm working a project.
You have another Lionel in your life?
Yes.
I want to be the only Lionel.
And he's a contractor, and he's been working ADUs and stuff with me.
There's another Lionel in the is it called NAREB?
Oh, is it neighborhood? Oh, okay, yeah.
His name is Lionel, so I can't remember. But I'm not used to all these Lionels.
Oh yeah. And I'm like, oh man. And I said, and I know better. And I sat there, and that was just a Freudian slip. But
Yes, it's all good. It's all. I was trying to.
Wow. Gonna go zoom in. And we'll just wait.
Just wait, huh?
Yeah.
Because we were just sitting there
Perfect.
talking.
Okay.
And I was like,
All right, thank you. You can send it to me. I appreciate it too.
This right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
on this end too, the show